Hello, everyone. It's your boy Adrian here. In whatever way you can, let's make sure that we're supporting USARK. They're fighting to keep our reptile keeping rights. It's getting really crazy out here with all the laws passing and white lists being approved. Make sure that you're becoming a USARK member if you can, and if not, support USARK awareness on your platforms. Thank you, and we're stronger together, guys. West Coast, man, you know where it's at. Best place to relax and kick back. Underneath the palm trees, talk about reptiles and spit facts. From BP to GTP, emeralds to Ackies. The city by the sea where we rock the crease khakis. I don't need no AI intro because I've been at the style. Come kick it on the West Coast and talk about reptiles. Reptiles. Talk about reptiles. Come kick it on the West Coast and talk about reptiles. What up, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 with your boy Adrian right here on the West Coast, man. West Coast Reptiles, West Coast Wednesdays podcast. We air in live from the West Coast, straight out here in Cali, Los Angeles, every other week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, live on YouTube. I really appreciate everyone tapping in. Please subscribe, leave a comment, smash the like button, man. Your boy Adrian out here putting out consistent podcasts, and we doing this thing, man. If you want trustworthy advice from a new keeper's perspective, I'm not an expert, guys. I'm a rookie in the game, getting back into it. New snake keeper, diving straight down the rabbit hole. And if you guys can learn anything, I'm going to keep it transparent over here, everything that happens. If you guys can learn anything from my experiences, at least one thing per episode or whatnot, that makes my day. It makes this all worth it to me. I do this strictly for the love of the reptiles. I'm not here for money, anything like that. I'm just here to make some cool animals. I've been keeping reptiles my whole life, and I'll always keep reptiles to the day I die, man. Be sure to share this content, man. Like I said, smash the like and all that. I really appreciate all the support. And I also have a Printify shop on my Instagram, West Coast Reptiles. If you want to cop a t-shirt or something, I got them super cheap, barely any. I might get a couple bucks from each shirt. But I got a cool logo right here, and the merch is looking pretty cool. If you guys want to do that, appreciate that. And make sure you're supporting USARK or spreading awareness about it. So got some quick updates over here. Still got my gravid green tree pythons looking good. Waiting for her to go into a post ovulation shed. And then I'm going to throw the nest box in there about day 40 and remove the top perch. Shout out to MJ. He's been coaching me and all of his recent success. Big congratulations to MJ, the Trap God, Trap Talk Reptile Network. You already know what it is, man. Supporting the homie. Team Morph Market. And got my emerald tree boa. She's going into shed right now. Might end up pairing her up with the male that I got. He's doing pretty good in quarantine. I got him at the January Pomona show. So it's been 6 months, and he's been doing great. So I might end up pairing them up. I got a ball python clutch that dropped this week. Actually on Sunday, I got a new ball python clutch, 6 good eggs. Hoping to hit a pastel stranger spot nose clown. Hopefully, it is what it is. I know I got pastel in the pairing, but hey, a spot nose clown's a spot nose clown. If I get some strangers in there, that would be dope too. I raised that female up from pretty much a hatchling, and raised her up for a couple of years, and happy to get 6 good eggs from her first time female. Really stoked about that. All the animals been doing great. Had a couple ball pythons that were off food for a while. Now they're back on food. One of my diamond pythons still isn't eating desert field mice. Trying to switch it over to desert field mice. It's just stuck on rat pinkies. And yeah, everyone's doing good, man. Everyone's doing good over here. I just collected 2 more leopard gecko eggs for the incubator, so I got 4 leopard geckos eggs in the incubator, 6 ball python eggs. I got 2 baby leopard geckos in it, so I got 5 baby leopard geckos total right now. I'm probably gonna let 4 of them go to a local pet shop or a couple friends, and we're gonna keep it rolling. I might have another clutch dropping soon with ball pythons and another my first green tree python clutch. Hopefully, fingers crossed. You guys know how that goes. We'll see. Trying my best out here. I switched up my egg box setup for this new ball python clutch. I put some air holes, and I'm not going to use any press and seal this time. However, I am running a wet chamber incubator, so the need for press and seal isn't dire. I feel like it does help with a dry incubator, and maybe if you're using the proper ratio of vermiculite or something, that it helps retain that moisture down in the substrate as opposed to just condensation in the egg box. I'm wiping the lid every now and then. I see some condensation, little small condensation starting to form on the top of the egg box lid, so I'm wiping that off periodically. And we got a fire episode tonight, episode number 8. Gonna do a green tree python deep dive with our boy Robert Hamilton from Tetra Chondros. So we're gonna pull him up to the stage right now. Hey, how's it going, Robert?
Hey, how are you?
Man. So what state are you working out of?
I'm working out of Michigan, but I'm only about an hour and a half from Chicago, so pretty close still.
I'm sorry, it kind of cut off on my end. What state are you in? Illinois?
Michigan,
Oh, Michigan. Okay.
yeah,
Okay, cool. I got some friends out in Michigan. That's pretty cool. I don't know exactly what part they're in,
it's a
but
big state.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
man.
close to the Indiana border, so I'm pretty close to Chicago.
All right. How's your weather out there right now?
I think we had like 92 as a high. Woke up about 70.
Yeah, yeah. I heard it's been hot over there, especially on the East Coast. If any of you guys are affected by that heat, man, I hope you guys are staying cool and hydrated out there. And yeah, it's pretty chill on the West Coast. Maybe 80 is a high, and it's getting nice and cool in the nighttime still. Maybe like low 60s or something like that. Um, but so yeah, haven't seen you on any podcast before. I believe you said this is your first podcast that you've been on, West Coast
Yes, it
Wednesdays.
is.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
it is our first podcast. I was trying to intrigue my son to do it with me, but we're just breaking out, still a little shy.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, you got some heat over there. Happy to have you on the show. What got you into green tree pythons, man?
I've been into reptiles my whole life. I grew up south side of Chicago. Chicago Reptile House was a close reptile place. They're one of the big sponsors for the Tinley show. You go in there when I was a kid, man, you'd see everything. I mean, you name it. So it was always cool when we'd go to the mall. Mom would always take us for a stroll by the reptile store. High
For sure.
school, I had a mangrove monitor. I had a couple retics, a couple leopard geckos. I mean, I had a fun time in high school. And then when I grew up a little bit, I got out of it. My kids got a little bit older, and next thing you know, the talk about reptiles came up. So we managed to have some extra cages around. We put together a little collection of the panther chameleons, and then two litters later, kids had like 86 of them running around. So we sold them, and next thing you know, the kid wanted to get a snake. and it was right around south was it? Was it Carpet Fest, Southwest Carpet Fest 2020?
Yeah. Carpet Fest is dope, man.
A lot of information. That was a really great time to get in. You know, they were Fishhead was one of the sponsors, so a lot of Nido information, especially from the get. So what not better to get into green trees and spook yourself with Nido, you know what I mean? And hear all the horror stories before you even have one.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I wish I learned about Nido a lot sooner. It wasn't really talked about a lot. I feel like before, like enough information was put out. So I know a lot of people are getting into green tree pythons and definitely need to know about Nido and how to go about purchasing an animal with some type of Nido policy. There's people on morph market auctions dumping Nido animals and stuff like that. You got to be careful about that. Um, you know, the animal should be tested for Nido before and after shipping, and that's pretty much it. Have your swabs ready when you go pick up the animal. Swab it right there, and send it in. Walk back into FedEx with your swab and send it back in right away, and you should be good from there. And yeah, the at a subject about kind of something to go on. Oh yeah, I like your profile on Instagram. How you have in your bio, like Nido tested animals. Everything you sell, I guess, is comes with the Nido test. Is it? That's what that means.
Everything that's in the closed collection has been tested through quarantine, got out of quarantine, multiple tests, random tests. I mean, I've sent in fecal. So yeah, all the testing on the closed collection is full. The babies I have not tested. The recent clutch that I just had, or we just had. I did mail out three and hand off one. They did not require tests. I think they had faith and also know that they can be open with me. Say when the animal isn't stressed from shipping, they can run a test and we can be open about it. I have no problem with that. But I
Yeah,
think that's also, like you say, know who you're buying from, trust their protocol, uh, know
yeah,
who you can put faith into.
yeah. I like Green Tree Keeper or Buddy Buscemi's policy. I think every Green Tree Python he sells comes with the Nido test, and I got a pair of diamond pythons from him, and I requested for a Nido test on those. He was fine. He Nido tested them. Boom, came back negative. I Nido tested them right away when I got them. Came back negative, and smooth transaction. So it should be, because if it's not Nido tested before shipping, and then you wait a week or 2 weeks, and it's too late. It's too late. It becomes an issue, and better just to you know get it done right away. Yeah, man. I recommend Nido testing every green tree python that goes out at least. You know, that's just my little bit of advice. Makes me feel better as a buyer. And so,
Yeah, I
where'd you
mean,
get your?
if it was buyer recommended and they asked me to do it, I would be okay with doing it, no problem. But like I said, I think when you can pull out, 18 tests on either side, the male or the female, and show, a clean record, it's just it helps to be able to show that also,
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
like keep your records, keep them, stack them up,
Yeah,
keep them with the males, keep them with the females. There's certain snakes they have, each swab goes in a file with that snake.
yeah. It just seems like cheap insurance to me. It's just it would make me more comfortable and make the seller more comfortable. It's like $20 to Nido test it pretty much, with the shipping too. Yeah. But I know neonates it's kind of like seems unnecessary almost or like intimidating to Nido swab a neonate, so I totally understand that side too. And who did you get your first green tree python from?
First green tree python was from Dave D.
Oh wow. Awesome, man. That's killer,
Yeah.
dude.
During Carpet Fest, I talked to Brennan, I think Nolan is his last name. He told me like, hey, try to get something that's not a neo for your first snake. Try to get something that you can create a rhythm with, get your husbandry down. Try. He didn't like steer me away from neos, but it was a good idea. It was definitely great advice because you do get to skip some of the things that come with the neos and the young ones, and you do get to create a habit of like how to change the bedding, how to do the water, environment, heat,
Yeah.
gradient, you know a lot of the things that you don't know yet if you're just getting into it. And no matter what you got to learn what the green tree python needs. Like if you got leopard geckos, if you got panther chameleons, they're you're a keeper. You're doing well. You've got responsibilities, but you're not in the green tree python atmosphere yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I had also bred panther chameleons successfully in the past before. I really like chameleons, like arboreal things, and that's what, you know, guided me to the arboreal snakes was my love for the arboreal species of reptiles. For sure. For sure. I love that stuff that lives in the trees. And so how big is your collection right now? You said you had 18 adults? Something like that.
2021. There's 21 adults. 18 adults, maybe two sub adults still. They're still on the younger side.
All right. Nice. That's a good size collection. What is your male to female ratio?
I'd say 50-50.
All right. And so this animal right here, real quick, is that the Dave D animal?
No, that animal comes from Cody and Pia. They did a combo breeding with Tim Morris. TA is, I believe, terrestrials and arboreals. That's their breeder code. I was doing a lot of testing with Fish Head, and I got into a pretty good relationship with Pia through Fish Head, and just dawned on me to say, well, I've been kind of hunting around, testing different snakes left and right, because, like you said, like that, I follow that protocol. If no matter what I'm buying, I'm gonna send you a nido test. And then you go ahead and swab it, then you mail it back, and then we get the results together, and then we move forward or we don't.
Yeah.
So I built up a relationship with Pia, and I just turned around and was like, hey, it just dawned on me, like, do you guys have anything? And she turned around and she had 3 really nice females from that same pairing. And I took all 3 of them.
Nice, man.
And that one right there was the biggest one, weight wise, girth wise. And that's the only one that took. So we'll be trying the other 2 sisters this season coming around.
Awesome, man. So is that a hormonal blue, or was she a little blue before that?
Yeah, it's a hormonal blue. Yeah, because she and her dorsal marks are just starting to come back also.
Okay. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I've never got to see it, you know, only
Yeah.
pictures, and that's when they're at their prime, like that. Like I'd say I could pull pictures out from maybe 2 months ago that don't have those green yellow dorsal marks. Still has the white, but
Yeah.
I never.
How old would you say this animal is like when you started to pair her up?
Well, I paired her up October 28th of last year. So that would have been 2024. She's a 2017. So what? She's 7.
Oh, all right. She's got some good size.
Yeah,
Good
she
age.
was she was like about 875, I think, going in. 875 grams. I think coming out, she was like 830. So she didn't lose much.
Yeah. So she was the first female to go for you so far. You got one clutch under your belt so far?
Oh, yeah, she was the first one to lay. And then we had an Aru paired to TAW male. She laid 4 white good eggs and like 13 slugs.
Mm,
It's all right
all
though,
right.
It's 4 more chances to have more chondros, you know.
Yeah.
It could be a bummer if you take it one way. But in my mind, I'm like, hey, I'm it's me and my son, we're having fun. Any chance that we can to gain more, let's do it,
Yeah. For
He was
sure.
sitting there when I pulled him out. He kind of had that same like bummer, It's
Yeah.
like, no, 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 dude. So we had 4 good white eggs. 2 weeks in, one of the eggs crashed. So I pulled it out. And then we had 3 go the distance. Um, we hatched our first yellow Neo, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty nice looking Neo. The third egg, I don't know if I left it in there too long or if fate just kind of did its thing because it tried to cut out and then it moved and it tried to cut out. And then I cut it and it was like, that's when it was done. It just wasn't breathing anymore or something. I pulled it out and you could tell like the back 3 inches, like it had a real hard turn to the spine, like
Mm,
it had a wiggle in the rear, when you felt it with your fingers, you could tell something was up. So could I have cut an hour and a half earlier? Absolutely. But that's not how I've been taught. So they got to struggle. That struggle's what makes them hardy. And sometimes that's part of survival of the fittest.
yeah. So, what was your success rate on that 4 egg clutch?
We ended up with 2, one
Oh,
yellow, one red.
oh, awesome. All right, you got a
Yeah,
red.
real
Yeah.
nice, real long, real big. They just shed last night, so I was gonna try to feed tonight, but I'll try to feed tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you, man. And so your other so you've I'm sorry, I kind of lost you when you said how many clutches have you had so far?
Well, that would be so we had 3 total this season that females lay. Right now we have a clutch of 13 on day 49.
Nice.
So like we're like three
Nice.
days out. I'm babysitting it, trying to stay busy and not staring in the incubator because I'm
What's
still a newbie,
what's the pairing on that?
Um, Chronos Cyrene, that'd be a Garrick snake, and then Wrangler times Mercury, which is a John Irby male, which is a true
Yeah.
blue male.
Wow. Epic, bro. That's an
Yeah, I
epic
mean
pairing,
the
dude.
eggs look great. I've been in contact with both of them, showing them videos of the eggs, and again, like I said, I I like to check in with those guys, like just to make
For
sure,
sure.
does this look okay? I'm sure they would say, hey, no, what the fuck's that if it was wrong, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Garrick's a cool ass dude, man. Really like Garrick. I haven't really met John Irby yet. I've heard a lot of good things about him. He's got some nice animals. Chondro OG. And then your other clutch, how many eggs did you have in that one? And what was the success rate?
the velvet and jaggy clutch, there was 20 eggs and 17 of them hatched. Three of
Wow.
them, one of them came out still attached and like had like an empty belly look. It was weird. I think maybe like some of the other snakes moved the egg away. It was still attached to the umbilical cord. And
Yeah.
then two of them were, I think I should have either cut earlier. Again, some of the fine details that you learn by failing, or you learn by just learning.
Yeah.
But the
Do you cut
17, they did great. They popped out. They're all eating
nice.
off tongs. That's another good thing.
Do you cut at all? You cut eggs at all? Or you just let them all pip?
You know, um, the first round I didn't cut. I cut maybe day 53. This time around, they started to pip on day 51. So I gave it 24 hours and I cut that third egg. This time around, I think I'll probably cut after the first pip, 24 hours. 24 hours.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, again, I might be going against some of the things, but again, I want to learn. I'm going against the survival of the fittest, and pushing them.
For sure.
But I'd like to see if it makes a difference. If maybe I can save those that I'm, one or two that I'm losing from suffocation or.
Yeah, 100%, man.
But I'm very grateful. Me and my son are very grateful for what we've gotten. You know, being able to read the room come breeding season and being able to pair with the proper snakes that are showing the proper signs.
Oh yeah.
No matter how much you talk to anybody over the phone, it's not like they're visualizing what's in your room.
Yeah, man, you guys are killing it, dude. Like that would be a goal, a dream come true, man. You guys are gonna really blow up with the production line that you're working on. Really excited to watch your progress, man.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, we let four of them go. That was
okay.
the one thing that I did want to do is give four neos out. We made a selective choice. It was definitely a hard choice to make. We
Yeah.
gave two of them to Doug over there at Voodoo Pythons,
All right.
and one of them to Jacob over there in LA by you. Or no, he's in Bakersfield. Yeah, he's in Bakersfield. And then Oscar over here in Chicago.
Nice, man. So you're what are you feeding? You feed pre-killed or frozen thawed? Do you breed your
Frozen
own
Thought.
rodents?
Yeah, Frozen Thought. A shout out to MJ for the button quail hookup. That was perfect timing for us. I
Hell yeah,
mean,
big props,
that
MJ.
shit works. Shout out to Bill with the chicken gizzard. Again, that was perfect timing for us. Definitely
Nice.
works.
Big props to Bill. Yeah, I really like Bill a lot. He's a good dude. I've talked to him on the phone before. I've acquired an animal from him that was produced by Patrick Holmes. Some of that Gems Artifact line, and yeah, man, I'm looking forward to keep growing up my chondros as well too. I'm feeding pre-killed. Pre-killed. That's what I'm feeding right now, and so you're mostly like red heavy. Like, what would you say your red to yellow ratio is in your breeding stock?
I was putting that together last month, just kind of looking at who's who and what's what, just so that way I'm not messing up years and years of work.
Yeah,
Um, it looks like I have 5 snakes that have the capability of doing yellows and reds. Um, Two of them of which I'm pairing together. They're the two John Lackey snakes that I have. Um, and then the TAW male and the Aru that I just paired together, those are also two of which that come from the capabilities of having yellows and reds. That was, like I said, I did not want to mess up, somebody else's tons of years of work with throw a yellow snake in there, and not that I
yeah,
am a yellow or red um, heavy on either side. I mean, I really, this yellow that we just produced, I mean, I love it. And the only other yellow Neo that we have was from Justin Wilbanks. And my daughter claimed that one right away. She thought it was the best thing in the whole building, just because again it was that banana yellow, and it turned
for
out to be an
sure.
awesome snake. So it's like a real pastel, like mustard yellow with a few white dots, black tail. Looks nice.
Yeah, nice, man. So let's go back to the breeding and egg box and incubation methods. What are you doing? What kind of incubator do you have? Are you running a dry chamber? How's your egg box set up?
I have a 60-inch hot box. Um, I run a wet chamber and I do the vermiculite 1-to-1 vermiculite. I use the 15 quart sterilite, I believe,
Okay,
and I have 4 holes, but one on each side. I tape them all shut in the beginning, and then in the end, start to open them up.
for sure, for sure. And what temperature are you incubating at?
87 straight through.
All right. And do you have the egg straight on the vermiculite?
I do.
All right. Yeah.
And I just found out with this last clutch, like, just if you have more than a 1-to-1 ratio, so a little bit more wet on the vermiculite, and so you get deeper into the incubation, the egg may start to create what looks like a window on the bottom. If you can actually help the egg by just lifting it off the vermiculite a little bit, and it'll help with that window.
All right.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Sure.
The fact that you can actually turn an egg back white once you
Yeah,
shrink it back down a little bit.
that's a good tip right there. And do you do straight bake 87?
Yep,
All right. Cool. Cool. And do you do any kind of cycling, like food cycling or temperature cycling, or you just do like let the natural cycling kick in?
it turns out that the way that I feed kind of cycles on its own.
Yeah.
So one of the things Dave taught me in the past, I think probably because I was a newbie when he was teaching me, and I never really I guess, asked to advance, but I always kept on to the rule was just like, if you have three animals in the snake, or you can't do anymore. You want to wait for the poop. So if it's a female and say it's got three animals in it, then that's it. That's it. She just keeps waiting. You keep adding water, or you keep adding environment until it poops, or you intrigue pooping in any way that you know how to, showers, rain chambers, in the grass, yada yada yada. You know, but
Yeah.
that kind of creates a gap of its own. It's a cycle of its own.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but again, I
Yeah.
mean, it turns out to be good. It turns out that sometimes there's some, not the males so much, obviously, because they're pooping and shitting every time, I mean, real quick. But the females, I mean, heck, they could hold a 30-dayer, I mean, that's a 4 week span. If they've got three in them, that's a 4 week wait of their own. They created it. Poop. You want to eat? Come on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I definitely feel like sometimes you need to get them moving around to entice that bowel movement. For sure. They could kind of stay stagnant for a while and not really move around a lot, but as soon as you just get them out, let them move around, it seems they want to pass that bowel movement. So, definitely feel like getting them out every now and then. Sorry. Okay, there we're back. Apologize for that, guys. A little technical difficulty right there. I got my backup in case something happens. I'll just pop in on my backup, so don't panic. But yeah, man, getting them to yeah, I mean the natural cycling thing. I kind of agree with that. I feel like unless you're in like a basement or some like temperature controlled environment, the animals know what's going on. They feel the barometric pressure. They know what season it is, and you know, don't quote me on this, but I said this on an episode or two before again that I was talking to Garrett, or I heard that Garrick said he was cycling a female, and then he he didn't cycle the next year, and she laid on like the same exact day or something like that, and it's just like he's like, oh, why am I even cycling then if she's just gonna lay on the same exact day?
yeah, I do
Which
remember hearing
kind
him
of made
say that.
sense. Um, are you drinking some tea right there? You got some yerba mate or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
heck yeah.
yeah. My dad was born in Argentina, and my grandfather drank mate all the time. It's pretty good.
Oh, it's better than coffee at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I love it, man. It gives you a different kind of caffeine rush. Doesn't really make you crash too hard.
I like to mix it with black tea.
All
So
right.
it's actually a tea drink also.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, I mean, in the beginning, man, I do got to say I got lucky because I caught James Opedal at a really good time where like him and I are in the same time zone. So I was able to get up, and it was during COVID, and I was still working at the lab, and I could get up and drive, and I had like an hour drive, and I just call him, and we talk in the morning for like an hour, and he really gave me a lot of great information, but also a lot of true facts, wasn't feeding me no bullshit.
seems like Every time, every time I add my other backup, it comes back on. It's weird. But, yeah, man. Apologize. Still working out the
Hey, it's
kinks.
it was funny. I told my son, I said, "You better not be on the Xbox the whole night."
And as far as your husbandry goes on your other animals, what kind of are you running substrate on the? Yeah, I don't know if you heard my question,
Not
but the
letting you.
husbandry.
Yeah, yeah. I got puppy pads, but they're human like Inspire pads.
Okay, and you have radiant heat panels.
Yep, yep. Center mounted.
All right, and do you mist? You mist. You just keep it misted like the puppy pad. Do you spray the animals themselves?
Only when they're in shed. But yes, I do keep I keep the pads pretty wet. Let
Yeah,
them
for
dry
sure.
out. You know, I got a lot of ventilation in my room, so I like to wet them down and let them get dry and re-wet them down. I don't like to keep them wet.
All right. And how often are you feeding?
I do everything every 2 weeks.
All right, for sure. And you have any lighting in your cages?
I do. I have are they 12-inch Arcadia? I think they're the shade dweller. I think they're like 2.8 or 3.5, something like
All right.
that percent.
Yeah, for
Low
sure.
UVB.
For sure, man.
And just like, with the Panthers, we measure that with like a meter. So I do the same in my cages. Figure if there's a sweet spot for the chameleons, there's a sweet spot for the snakes.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. And when you're pairing your females and all that, like, are you doing it at a certain time of year? You're doing your pairings?
Again, this was just my first season coming around. I watched a couple people like, Garrick and like John. All of a sudden, I started seeing their snakes, and I'm like, around September, I'm like, wait a minute, like, I have a clutch mate to that. Like, how is he already breeding with that snake? So I called them up and I'm like, hey, that's a clutch mate, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
give it a shot. And I caught on right around September. I started seeing some changes and started seeing some changes in the females and some of the way they were acting. And, my temperatures were already down. Garrick had told me, hey, drop temperatures. I talked to John. John said, hey, try this, try that. Bada bing, bada boom. Next thing you know, I had snakes all like this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I was like a pig in shit. You know what I mean? I was happier than hell. And it
Yeah.
was cool just because, it was just like me and my son just started seeing things happening, females laying on the bottom and, just doing little weird things. We kept telling each other, like, what, did you see that? Did you see that? And so I made a couple phone calls and we made a couple of temperature adjustments and it happened, they just kind of sparked up. We tried for 5 and we got 3. I think,
Nice.
you know, yeah, my
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. With my pairing, I started pairing around March or something, but I did this this kind of unusual thing that I think that kind of kickstarted the male. So I built an enclosure for the female and upgraded her to that enclosure, and then I put the male in the female's enclosure. And I think he was smelling the female in there because I had paired him up in there before, and he wasn't interested. And so I upgraded her to a bigger size enclosure, and then I put him in her old enclosure, and I think he was just smelling her the whole time, just smelling her pheromones or something, and then he just started cruising and refusing. He would just start cruising, and he went off food. And so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna try to pair him up and see what happens. And he just locked her up like almost right away. And then I got like 2 or 3 more locks after that lock. I would let him lock until I saw no interest, and then separate them. Maybe try to feed, and then pair him up again. And he was kind of going off food for a while. He would eat like after a month. He would eat, and then I'd pair him up again, and now he's back eating again. That I think he did his job. But and then I saw an ovulation recently, about maybe a couple weeks ago or so. And it's in June now. So I was pairing him up in like April, and I got my notes right here. Keep my record right here.
Yeah.
I just did the old school.
I wrote some things down myself.
Yeah, I can tell you right now. When I paired them up, I got some locks right here. Yeah.
But it sounds like you witnessed the same things, a complete change in the male.
Yeah.
He's acting like a knucklehead, and you go into the cage the next day, it's like water everywhere.
Yeah, I got a lock April 7th and April 28th. I got a lock, and then another lock May 25th, and then I got a possible ovulation on June 7th. And now she just seems to be looking kind of gravid and kind of going into shed type of thing. And MJ gave me some good advice at around day 40 after the post ovulation shed, or the pre-lay shed. I guess it would be the pre-lay shed.
Yeah.
I think he said day 40 you put in the egg box, or I have to go back and look at my notes, and day 40 you put in the egg box and remove the top perch, and then on day 42 you remove all the perches. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if I'm saying that exactly, but it's something along those lines. Did you use an egg box?
I didn't.
A nest box?
Yeah, no, I actually was taught to pull her out of the cage and use a tub, like
okay.
It was like a 10 quart, like a shoebox, tall shoebox.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that method too. That's a pretty good method. I agree with that method. I
mean,
Marshall Mendez.
I questioned it. I'm like, how am I gonna fit this big ass snake in that small ass box? He's like, dude, just go ahead. You can do it. She'll fit,
And what did you use for
what's important is just like finding someone that you can, finding a group of people, or at least the ones that are on the same teaching, you know what I mean? And just so that you can like bounce them ideas off of them, build your confidence, so that way you're not sitting in the corner twiddling your thumbs and making stupid decisions,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what do you think about this? But yeah, I did the shoebox.
Yeah, what kind of bedding did you use in the egg box?
A towel, just like a hand towel.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I've seen that used a lot too.
It was cool. You can park one of whatever kind of camera you got in the tub next to it. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, for sure. And so on like what day, when did you put the female in the tub?
Uh, Day 45. Yeah, it was like 45, 46. And then I think she spent like 4 days in there. So she laid by, I want to say 49, 50, something like that.
For sure. For sure. So, do you only keep chondros?
We have one leopard gecko. That's my daughter's. Yep.
You.
Ruby.
What other species did you have? I'm sorry.
I said we have a leopard gecko. Her name's Ruby. It's our daughter's. But other than that, we have all green trees.
Okay. And if you were to get another species, you were going to add another species to your collection, what comes to your mind first?
I mean, nothing does. It has to be something that eats mice. I don't want to do crickets and stuff like that anymore. I paid my dues there.
Yeah, for sure. I feel you. Yeah, I had chameleons, so I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. That's why I have such an appreciation for these snakes, man, is because they don't eat bugs.
I do like the smaller blue tree monitors. Those are nice. Those are
Yeah.
nice.
What about like emeralds? You like emeralds?
Yeah, I do, but I think that if I were gonna put money into the emeralds, I would just keep doing what I'm doing. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's still
Yeah.
some blood out there that I'd like to get my hands on.
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah, it's cool. I see like a lot of green tree python guys. They just like stick to green tree pythons, and I think that's pretty cool. I respect that. Yep. And what lines are you working with? Like just at a glance, like what designer lines are you working with? Do you have any calico? You got a lot of blue line stuff. You have any melanistic? You know.
Um, you know, I have two of Garrick's Chronos Cyrene, male and female. Um, I was hoping to match those with maybe some of the Surak blood that I have. Um, I am trying to study more on who these snakes are and who their ancestors are, just so that if I'm making proper pairings, like I might not know 100. Like there's a lot of people out there that know a lot more than I do of what these things have in the past. So if I were going to make proper decisions, sometimes I would maybe ask, hey, you know, what do you think about this pairing, or what do you think, and see what they say, see what some of the people that know more than I do say.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. 100%, bro. Yeah, I really tried to get a good pair of designers going, and it is what it is. At least I got a nice male designer. Um, Pretty stoked about that. And
I'm pretty
yeah, man,
pumped
look,
to be able to use some of Garrick's lines and mix them with John's lines. They're both pretty pumped about that, so that's cool to me.
yeah,
That's
yeah, man,
that
that's
that's
some like
my
world's first
goal.
type shit, bro. You're gonna change the
I'll
game.
be able to make something that the guys that I have bought from would like. You know what I mean? That means that I'm at least going in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure they will, man. So when you're looking for holdbacks, like what are you looking for? Like, big diamonds, reduced pattern, dark red, you know?
I'm looking to hold back as many as I possibly can. That's the only way to know what to look for. Again, I have bought in a couple Neos. I didn't really have choices. They were just like, pictures thrown at me and I got to choose, actually having this clutch in my hands and being able to open that tub up and look at them every day or after every shed and see that now I'm starting to be able to develop that opinion, because before then it just wasn't never a lesson I could learn. I never got to choose. I never got to look through them,
Yeah, that's a great answer, man. Great answer. You have
And
any?
I did take a bunch of pictures, and again, I send them to Dave. I say, hey Dave, which one of these do you like the best? He's like, ooh, this one. I'm like, all right, sweet. Send it to John. I say, hey John, which one do you like? He's like, I like this one and this one. I'm like, all right, sweet. I send him to Gary. You know what I mean? I send him to
Yeah.
Socrates. I send him, it's like, what the hell? I've been at this for 5 years with my son, and I've nerded out with every single one of these guys for a long time. They're excited to see me excited. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it is
great
exciting.
conversations in the last couple of months with these guys. I appreciate the hell out of them, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Even if I'm, late and stoned tonight and can't remember the name. Like I said, James, Christian. I mean, those guys really fucking started me off in the beginning. Andy, all the whole community, they, once you really get in it, yeah, they really take care of you, Yeah, and yeah, I had a big snake die on us, and it really put my son back too. I mean, we were just like, fuck. I mean, a big snake. It was, it was one from Dave. It's not about the dollar amount. It was about what it looked like. And I gotta say, Dave took care of us, like customer service like no other. Snake came to us, didn't eat. I'll run through it quick. Snake came to us, didn't eat. Dave said, hey, look, send it back. I sent it back. Dave had it for like 6 months. Got it to eat like the second day it got there, man. It made me feel like this big. I'm like, I suck. He had it forever. 6, 7 months, calls me up. He says, hey, I think this thing's ready to go. Do you want it or do you want me to keep it? So I had to, bust it out, say, well, you know what? We're going to take another shot at it. Me and my son are probably going to take another shot at it. Sends it back. Fucking thing wouldn't eat again. I mean, a long time. So, he calls me up, says, listen, I'll give you one more option, man. You can send it back to me. I'll give you a refund. But I was stubborn, and he did the right thing. I think, now to this day, he should have probably said, listen, I'm not even giving you the option. You send it back to me. I'm going to get it back to life. That thing's amazing. I'm going to give you another chance down the road, give you your money back. You know what I mean? He did a great job, but, and I even said this to him the last time I talked to him, but it was a big loss. So we tucked our tail for a long time. Back to like where this came from was the community, right? I had a couple of the guys always coming through the back door. Hey, bud, how you doing? How's the collection? Just keeping an eye on me. It was good. It was great. It just shows how tight niche this community is,
Yeah, for sure. For sure, man. Yeah, I had a similar experience. Well, not really actually, but I had a funny story. I got this, designer from Bill Stiegel. It was produced by Patrick Holmes, so I got it and I posted on my Instagram, "Yo, look, it's PH2205." And some dude comments like, "Oh, look, it's PH2205. I had that snake for like 3 months and it never ate for me." I'm just like, "What? Fuck. Like great. Like what the fuck did I just do, like and but then it smashed food. It never like it ate immediately and it never missed a meal and it was smashing food and it's been freaking smashing food growing like crazy. And I'm just like, yeah, this thing's a tank, man. Like I don't know.
Somebody
What
brought it
happened?
in and fine tuned it.
He sent it back to Mr. Stiegel And yeah, I'm happy to have it. It's a beautiful animal, a nice male, and yeah, it smashes food. I was surprised when they said that to me, but I guess it could just happen, man. It's tough. It's interesting when you get a new animal and you try to maybe like switch their prey around. I've found like if they take like 3 or 4 meals of that same prey that they were eating, and then if you offer them something different, then they'll take it. I offer them right away. I offer a different type of prey, like just to see if they'll take the different prey, because that's my preferred prey. Um, I don't have a lot of different types of prey, so I'm thinking about adding a colony of Norwegians to my breeding program just to have some diversity, because like I said, I have a diamond python that's still stuck on like rat pinkies or fuzzies. It will not touch anything else, and it's pretty frustrating because I have to go to the pet store and buy one rat fuzzy just for this one diamond python, and the other diamond python will smash different types of prey. So it's pretty interesting, but I've noticed for the most part, if you feed them 3 or 4 times, then they'll switch if they don't eat it immediately. So it's just a work in progress. Yeah, man, it keeps it exciting. Do you have any other like cool stories, man? Like big takeaways or like learning lessons or yeah, anything you want to share, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, again, just like the community's strong. Again, I would like my son to be the face, to be able to do the Instagram and meet the people. But again, like it's hard to do Zell, and it's hard to at the age of 18. So he was 14 when we started. So it's hard to have people be sending, just through PayPal and friends and family, and just like but I think that the community's solid. I mean, there's a lot of trust. You meet somebody on the Instagram, the next thing you know, you want to buy a snake, you get their Zelle, and you send them $3,500, and then you sit there and you wait, and
Yeah.
you hope that their Instagram doesn't get deleted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of faith. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of faith.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, man. Just
We managed to, like I said, James got us a lot of great information and pumped us full of enthusiasm. We got in good with Christian and got some really nice shit. And then John let us jump on when he had the Mercury and Moonshine clutch, and we sat for the long haul for the mail. We waited for him to find the ones that he was going to keep, and then once he was ready to let go some of the real exquisite ones, that's the male to this clutch that's about to hatch in a couple days. We got real lucky. Timing was right.
yeah.
The Nido information,
Yeah,
just
for sure.
the way that yeah, like I said, the timing was right.
That's good, man. I'm glad
Being
you had
able
a
to
great
put together
overall
a good
experience.
protocol, and like you said, you want to buy a snake. Hey, how you doing? You got a snake? Yep. Okay. Do you mind if I send you an Ido swab? Okay. You know what I mean? You just be
Man,
consistent.
couldn't say it any better, Robert. Couldn't say it any better, my friend. And you said you wanted to add some new blood. What kind of new blood would you add if you could?
I'd like to run down a couple localities. I'd like to put together a locality program. Maybe not a program, a couple snakes. You know what I mean? And just breed just that locality. I like to maybe use that to outcross to some of the designers too. So it's like a plan on a plan.
What locality?
I like the Biocs. They're really nice. I like the dorsal markings most. I like the size.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
MJ's
also
got
like
some
the
super fire.
Maniquaries. I also do like the Maniquaries. So
Yeah. Trap God, he's got some super fire Beox that he's produced, that are gonna hatch soon. Nice red to red pairings. Really nice Beox that he's gonna hatch out. I'm sure he'd hook you up, bro. And yeah, man, Aquarius, all I could think of off the top of my head is uh, Gary Shavino, um, maybe David Brahms. I don't know if he has pure Maniquaries. I think he's uh,
yeah,
and
I have been watching over like what MJ's been doing. He's got a lot of nice stuff over there.
yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Um, just feel like
The feeding
it,
trials were fun on this first clutch. Um, Everything, I think I liked waiting for the sheds. I was coached to wait for the sheds, and everything took off pretty good. It did seem like most of them liked the chicken gizzards off of the tongs. I mean, but again, at that point in time, it's about snatching, swallowing, and pooping. At that, we can if you can get them to switch over food once you get them to do the rest.
for sure. That's good. So you had a pretty good feeding trial experience.
Yeah,
Not a lot
yeah.
of
It seemed like they ate, and then all of a sudden, after some like they all ate after about 3 meals in. All of a sudden, two of them kicked back on me and were like, nope, nope, I'm done. I don't want to eat anymore. So I did end up having to get physical. I did have to assist feed. You know what I mean? Which I've had some in the past that have given me some trouble. So I've learned how to, I had some in the past that have taught me or prepped me for this time.
yeah, for
Some
sure,
that didn't make it.
for sure, man. So what year did you get in to the Green Tree Pythons again?
2020. 2020 was our first actual commitment. I remember 2010 just having my first clutch of Panther chameleons. I had some camouflage creation chameleons.
All right.
I was breeding. Liddy was the first person to really teach me how to hatch on vermiculite. Really nice
Yeah.
lady. Um, I remember being on the web, on Rico's web, just kind of looking at the sarong. I remember there was a blue dorsal sarong on there that really had my attention.
Yeah.
I always wanted to get something, but I think back then the caging, the technology, the knowledge, all of the above wasn't there.
Yeah, the thing about the chameleons is they take a year to incubate. I incubated mine for 365 days. Literally, they hatched on the day. Yeah.
Yeah, no joke. No joke. I mean, I do remember ours being like 9 to 10 months long.
Yeah. I was just doing room temperature, so maybe that was what slowed it down. Um, yeah.
But I mean, shit, they go so long, you almost forget about them.
Yeah.
You
I
gotta
know,
set a
dude.
you gotta
I
set
don't
a
know.
timer
I don't know
on your
how I did
phone.
it, bro. Yeah. I don't know how, but I did it, bro. Yeah, I did it, man.
That was, I mean, that was a really plentiful thing to do with like a freaking. I think what our kids were like 10 and 7. You know what I mean? Having all these eggs just hatch and having all these babies running around and feeding them flies, and you know what I mean? It was just, we homeschooled at the time, so it was a good thing. I taught them responsibilities because those things are definitely time consuming. You know what I mean? They definitely take
Yeah.
to have good husbandry on them. They take some time.
Yeah, they're everyday animals, man.
Yep.
All those lizards and stuff, those are everyday animals. shout out to anyone who continues to work those projects. And yeah, man, if you have any other closing thoughts, feel free. If you want to let anyone know, hey, this is where you can find me. I'm gonna have these clutches, but I'm not gonna let any go until this time. Or if you have any available animals, let us know, man. Um, yeah,
At the time, I don't. I am gonna keep what I have until they're, pushing sexable and OCC. I'm on Tetraham on Instagram, Tetraham Chondros. We do have a clutch. Like I said, I'm on day 49 right now. That's the GG blood crossed with John Irby's blood. I got that posted on there on Instagram. Should be a nice clutch. I'm gonna let go of a couple of them.
yeah,
Again,
it'll
I'm
be a
gonna
nice clutch, man.
try to hold on to as many as I possibly can. But that male turned out great. I mean, I want to get him on video. He's got a really nice cream tail.
Where'd you get your name from, Tetraham? How is that?
So there's four of us in the family. So Tetra, my last name's Hamilton, and then Chondros. It was kind of something the kids put together. Again, we homeschool, so it was like a homeschool project for them to come up with
Oh, awesome, man.
a name for
Good
their
for you,
snake
bro.
company.
Good
You
for
know,
you, man. That's awesome. You homeschool your kids. That's great,
yeah,
bro.
our daughter's big into photography, so she's having fun with we got her a light box. She's been throwing the Neos in the light box, having fun with the computer, with Lightroom. She's 16 now, so all
Yeah.
that fun photography stuff. My son's 19; he can handle the whole room himself. I can trust. He can. I
That's
trust he can
badass,
follow
bro.
my protocol. He gloves up,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I really
sanitizes.
like your t-shirt, bro. Rest in peace to the legend, man. Forrest Fanning. He
Yeah, like I
push
said, I've
props
grown up in the
MJ over here.
Chicagoland area. I got to meet him a couple times. This shirt was from MJ when he was coming out right after he passed.
Awesome, man. Very appropriate shirt tonight. And thanks for coming on. Robert, if you want to hang out backstage real quick and feel like we got some good topics covered, we got straight to it, man. West Coast Wednesdays, episode 8, Reptile Podcast. I appreciate everyone for hanging in there and apologize for any technical difficulties, but definitely going to go rewatch this episode. Really enjoyed it, Robert. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, having us on,
Yeah, man.
letting us talk about our collection and
Yeah.
some of the cool dudes we've met along the way.
Yeah, man. I feel like a lot of people are going to get to know you more and appreciate you getting ready for this podcast, bro. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks. And
Yeah, and I don't, it's just late on this side, you know what I mean? So
yeah, man.
that's the only
I know
reason
it's
why I
late.
had to line up with you,
Yeah, for sure. And looking forward to having you back on the show, bro, after that clutch hatches and following up on that with you, man. So
Yeah, I'll try to set it up to where we can get some peaks and some cages and stuff.
yeah, hang out backstage for a sec, bro. I'll let the outro play, and
Thank you.
we'll get back to it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tapping in. Make sure you subscribe and leave me a comment. Let you know what you think. Shout out to the boy Robert Hamilton, man. He's a really cool dude. Glad we got to find out a little more about him, man. Over here, signing out for the West Coast. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Gonna head out to Trap Fest on Friday. Go hang out with the trappers. Really looking forward to that, man. Appreciate everyone for coming in. Boy, Adrian. West Coast, man, you know where it's at. Best place to relax and kick back underneath the palm tree. trees, talk about reptiles and spit facts. From BP to GTP, emeralds to Ackies, the city by the sea where we rock the crease khakis. I don't need no AI intro because I've been at the style. Come kick it on the West Coast and talk about reptiles. Reptiles. Talk about reptiles. Style. Come kick it on the West Coast and talk about reptiles.